I just want to be treated as an equal.
You're about to see what happens when people don't follow my orders.
Security pushed a blind veteran down the stairs. Then they heard who was on the line. "Officer, I'm speaking with Senator Williams about official government business," Marcus said calmly, his hand steady on his white cane as Atlas pressed closer to his side. Jenkins' face flushed red with frustration. "I don't care if you're talking to the president himself. Rules are rules, and that dog needs to come off." The tension crackled between them like electricity, neither man willing to back down. Marcus felt the familiar weight of injustice pressing against his chest, the same feeling he'd carried since losing his sight in Afghanistan. "Sir, with all due respect, federal law protects my right to have my service dog with me. I'm not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment." Jenkins stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You're about to learn what happens when people don't follow my orders in my courthouse. Don't miss what happens next in this incredible true story of courage and justice and ultimate triumph. Like this video. If you believe every veteran deserves respect, subscribe for more inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And listen to find out how one phone call changed everything. Your support helps us share these powerful stories that need to be heard. Marcus Thompson never expected his routine visit to the courthouse would end with him sprawled at the bottom of marble steps, his service dog whimpering beside him. But when security heard the voice on his phone call, everything changed. Sometimes the most powerful connections come from the most unexpected places. The federal courthouse in downtown Chicago buzzed with its usual morning chaos. Lawyers in sharp suits hurried past marble columns, their heels clicking against polished floors. Fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across the imposing lobby, where security guards in Navy uniforms maintained their vigilant watch. Outside October, wind rattled windows as commuters rushed past, unaware of the drama about to unfold within these walls of justice. Marcus Thompson, 34, adjusted his grip on the white cane as he navigated the courthouse entrance. His German Shepherd Atlas walked steadily beside him, the service dog's harness gleaming under the bright lights. 3 years had passed since the IED explosion in Afghanistan stole his sight, but Marcus had rebuilt his life with determined precision. Today marked a significant milestone. He was here to finalize paperwork for his new nonprofit organization, Vision Forward, designed to help other blind veterans transition to civilian life. The irony wasn't lost on him that he'd need to see a judge to officially launch an organization about moving beyond what you couldn't see. Marcus carried himself with military bearing, his shoulders straight, despite the challenges he'd faced. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a call he'd been expecting all morning. The timing couldn't be more perfect, or so he thought. What Marcus didn't anticipate was the courthouse's new security protocol. Recent threats had made guards hypervigilant, and his service dog, despite clear identification, was drawing unwanted attention. As he approached the metal detector, he could sense tension building. The guards whispered among themselves, their voices carrying undertones of suspicion rather than assistance. Marcus felt the familiar knot in his stomach, the same feeling he'd had countless times when people saw his disability before they saw him. "Sir, you'll need to remove the dog's harness and walk him through separately," the lead security guard officer Jenkins announced with bureaucratic authority. Marcus paused, his hand instinctively moving to Atlas's head. Officer Atlas, is a trained service dog. Federal law allows him to accompany me through security with his harness on. I have his certification right here." The phone in his pocket buzzed again, more insistently this time. Marcus knew he needed to take this call. It was from Senator Patricia Williams, the woman who'd championed his nonprofit funding. She was calling with news about the final approval, and missing this call could delay everything by weeks. "I understand your position, sir, but we have new protocols." Jenkins replied, his voice growing firmer. "No exceptions." Marcus felt the weight of the moment. He could argue potentially missing the crucial call, or he could comply and hope for the best. Either choice carried risks he couldn't afford. "Could I please take this call first? It's regarding official business with Senator Williams' office," Marcus said, pulling out his phone as it rang for the third time. Jenkins exchanged glances with his partner, Officer Rodriguez. "Make it quick, but the dog situation doesn't change." Marcus answered the call, stepping slightly to the side. "Senator Williams, thank you for calling." "Yes, I'm at the courthouse now for the final paperwork." The senator's voice was warm and encouraging. "Marcus, I have wonderful news. The committee approved your full funding request. Vision Forward will receive $2.3 million over 3 years. You're about to change countless lives." As Marcus spoke, he noticed the guards growing impatient. Jenkins tapped his foot rhythmically while Rodriguez kept checking his watch. Other visitors were beginning to queue behind Marcus, creating pressure for a quick resolution. "Senator, I'm just going through security now. Could you hold for just one moment?" Marcus asked, trying to balance the phone call with the immediate situation. "I'm sorry, but you need to end that call and deal with your dog's situation." Jenkins interrupted his patience, clearly exhausted. Marcus tried to explain. "Officer, I'm speaking with Senator Williams about official government business. This will just take—" "I don't care if you're talking to the president," Jenkins snapped. "Rules are rules. End the call, remove the harness, or leave." The tension in the lobby was palpable. Other visitors stopped to watch the confrontation unfold. Marcus felt the familiar surge of frustration, not at his blindness, but at the ignorance and inflexibility he encountered too often. "Senator, I apologize, but there seems to be a misunderstanding here with security," Marcus said into the phone, his voice remaining calm despite his rising anger. Atlas sensed his handler's stress and moved closer, providing the steady presence Marcus had come to depend on. The dog's training was impeccable, but even Atlas couldn't navigate human prejudice and bureaucratic stubbornness. What happened next would change everything, not just for Marcus, but for everyone watching. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." Jenkins said, his hand moving toward Marcus's arm. Marcus instinctively stepped back, maintaining his phone connection. "Officer, please don't touch me. I'm complying with all federal regulations. My service dog is properly certified, and I'm conducting official business with a United States Senator." The lobby had grown quiet, with dozens of people now watching the confrontation. Marcus could hear whispered conversations, some supportive, others questioning why he was making such a big deal about following simple rules. "Senator Williams, are you still there?" Marcus asked into the phone. "Yes, Marcus. What's happening? Is there a problem?" Before Marcus could respond fully, Jenkins made his move. "That's enough. You're disrupting courthouse operations." The guard reached for Marcus's phone, intending to end the call forcibly. In the struggle, Marcus stumbled backward, his cane clattering to the floor. Atlas immediately moved to steady his handler, but the damage was done. Marcus was off balance, standing at the top of the courthouse's grand staircase. Unknown to everyone involved, the confrontation was being recorded. Sarah Chin, a local news reporter who happened to be in the courthouse covering another story, had started filming when she noticed the commotion. Her journalistic instincts told her this was more than a simple security dispute. Meanwhile, other courthouse visitors began taking out their phones. In today's world, conflicts like this rarely went unwitnessed or unrecorded. The pressure on the security guards was mounting, but Jenkins seemed determined to assert his authority regardless of the growing audience. "This is ridiculous," someone in the crowd muttered. "The man's a veteran with a service dog." "Just let him through," another voice added. But Jenkins was beyond listening to reason. His face had flushed red, and his partner Rodriguez looked increasingly uncomfortable with the escalating situation. The simple security check had transformed into a public spectacle, with Marcus caught in the center through no fault of his own. The phone call with Senator Williams continued, and she was hearing everything through Marcus's still-connected device. "Officer Jenkins," Rodriguez whispered urgently, "maybe we should just let him through. This is getting out of hand." But Jenkins was committed to his course of action. "No exceptions means no exceptions. I don't care who's watching." Marcus tried one more time to de-escalate. "Officer, I served 3 tours in Afghanistan. I lost my sight defending this country. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just need to get to the clerk's office to file paperwork for a non-profit that helps other veterans." His words hung in the air, and for a moment it seemed like reason might prevail. Several people in the crowd nodded approvingly, and even Rodriguez seemed moved by Marcus's explanation. "Thank you for your service," someone called out from the crowd. But Jenkins remained unmoved. "Your service doesn't give you special privileges to break security protocols." The statement sent a ripple of disapproval through the gathered crowd. Marcus felt the shift in energy. People were no longer neutral observers. They were becoming invested in the outcome of this confrontation. Senator Williams, still on the phone, had heard enough. Her voice carried clearly through Marcus's speaker. "Officer, this is Senator Patricia Williams. I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and I'm speaking with Mr. Thompson about official government business regarding veteran services." The lobby fell silent. Jenkins's face went pale as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. Rodriguez stepped forward, trying to salvage the situation. "Senator Williams, this is Officer Rodriguez. We're just following standard security procedures. Standard procedures that violate federal law regarding service animals and discriminate against disabled veterans." The senator's voice cut through the air like a blade. Marcus stood perfectly still, Atlas pressed against his leg as the power dynamic in the room shifted completely. The crowd was now openly hostile toward the security guards, and Jenkins looked like he wanted to disappear. But pride and stubbornness can make people do terrible things. Instead of backing down and apologizing, Jenkins doubled down on his authority. He reached for Marcus again, this time more aggressively. "I don't care who you're talking to. You're leaving now." What happened next unfolded in slow motion. Jenkins grabbed Marcus's arm roughly, trying to force him toward the exit. Marcus, startled by the sudden physical contact, instinctively pulled away. His foot caught on Atlas's leash, and he stumbled backward. The courthouse's grand marble staircase, which had welcomed countless visitors with its impressive architecture, became a weapon. Marcus fell backward, his phone flying from his hand as he tumbled down 15 stone steps. Atlas barked frantically, trying to reach his handler, but unable to navigate the stairs quickly enough. The sound of Marcus's body hitting each step echoed through the now silent lobby. His cane clattered down beside him, and when he finally came to rest at the bottom, he lay motionless. "Oh my God!" someone screamed. "Call 911!" Jenkins stood frozen at the top of the stairs, the reality of what he'd done hitting him like a physical blow. Rodriguez immediately radioed for medical assistance while rushing down to check on Marcus. Sarah Chen, the reporter, had captured everything on video. The footage showed clearly that Jenkins had initiated the physical contact that led to Marcus's fall. There would be no denying what had happened. Marcus's phone had landed near him, still connected to Senator Williams, who was shouting through the speaker, "Marcus, Marcus, are you okay? What happened?" As paramedics arrived and began assessing Marcus's injuries, the full scope of the situation became clear. Marcus had suffered a concussion, several bruised ribs, and a sprained wrist. But the physical injuries were nothing compared to the emotional and legal ramifications of what had just occurred. Senator Williams, still on the phone, was coordinating with her staff to ensure the incident was properly documented and investigated. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had spent decades fighting for veterans' rights. "I want a full investigation into this incident," she declared to anyone within earshot. "This is exactly the kind of discrimination and abuse that our veterans face every day, and it's unacceptable." The crowd had grown larger as word spread throughout the courthouse. Lawyers, judges, and court staff gathered to witness the aftermath. Many were visibly shaken by what they'd seen. Jenkins had been relieved of duty pending investigation, while Rodriguez tried to manage the scene. The courthouse's chief security officer arrived, his face grim as he assessed the situation. Marcus, though conscious, was disoriented and in pain. Atlas remained by his side, the service dogs training, keeping him calm despite the chaos around them. The bond between veteran and service animal was evident to everyone watching, making Jenkins's actions seem even more callous and unnecessary. As Marcus was loaded onto a stretcher, he managed to speak, "Is Atlas okay? Where's my phone?" His first concerns weren't for himself, but for his service dog, and maintaining his connection with Senator Williams, the same connection that Jenkins had tried so hard to sever. The turning point came when Marcus's phone was retrieved, and Senator Williams' voice filled the lobby through the speaker system that Rodriguez had connected it to. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Senator Patricia Williams. What you've witnessed today is a disgraceful violation of federal law and basic human decency. Mr. Thompson is a decorated veteran who lost his sight serving our country. He was here today to finalize paperwork for a nonprofit organization that will help other blind veterans transition to civilian life." Her words carried weight that no one in the courthouse could ignore. Judges stopped their conversations to listen. Court clerks gathered around. Even the paramedics paused in their work. The Americans with Disabilities Act and federal service animal laws exist precisely to prevent incidents like this. Mr. Thompson's rights were violated, and he was physically assaulted for trying to exercise those rights. The senator's voice grew stronger. "I will personally ensure that this incident is investigated at the highest levels. No veteran should ever face this kind of treatment, especially not in a federal courthouse, a place that should represent justice and equality for all. As Marcus was transported to the hospital, Senator Williams coordinated with her staff to ensure immediate action. She contacted the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, the courthouse's administrative office, and several veterans advocacy organizations. The video footage from Sarah Chen and multiple bystanders was already spreading on social media. Justice for Marcus began trending within hours, with thousands of people sharing their own stories of discrimination against disabled veterans. Marcus's nonprofit Vision Forward received an unexpected boost in attention. The senator's office released a statement about the organization's mission and the funding it had just received, turning the tragic incident into a platform for raising awareness about the challenges faced by blind veterans. At the hospital, Marcus was treated for his injuries while Atlas waited patiently in the room. The service dog's presence provided comfort not just to Marcus, but to the medical staff, who were moved by the obvious bond between them. Legal experts began weighing in on the incident, with many calling it a clear-cut case of disability discrimination and excessive force. The courthouse faced potential federal investigation and significant legal liability. Despite the outpouring of support, Marcus struggled with doubt as he recovered. The physical pain was manageable, but the emotional impact ran deeper. He questioned whether pursuing legal action would be worth the stress and public attention. "Maybe I should just let it go," he confided to his sister during a hospital visit. "I don't want to be known as the veteran who sued the courthouse." But Senator Williams had a different perspective when she visited him the next day. "Marcus, this isn't about you anymore. It's about every disabled veteran who will walk through those courthouse doors in the future. Your courage in pursuing this will protect others." Atlas seemed to sense his handler's internal struggle, staying closer than usual and providing the steady presence that had helped Marcus through so many challenges since losing his sight. The legal proceedings began within a week. The Department of Justice announced a formal investigation into the courthouse's security practices and the specific incident involving Marcus. The video evidence was overwhelming, and public pressure was mounting for accountability. Jenkins was suspended without pay, pending the investigation's outcome. The courthouse implemented immediate policy changes regarding service animals and disability accommodations. But for Marcus, the legal battle was just beginning. His attorney, provided pro bono by a prestigious civil rights firm, filed a federal lawsuit alleging violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act assault and civil rights violations. The case would set important precedents for how disabled veterans are treated in federal facilities. The courthouse's legal team initially tried to minimize the incident, claiming Jenkins was following proper security protocols and that Marcus had been uncooperative. They argued that the fall was accidental and that no discrimination had occurred. This strategy backfired spectacularly when the video evidence was released publicly. The footage clearly showed Jenkins initiating physical contact and Marcus's obvious attempts to comply with reasonable requests while maintaining his important phone call. Public opinion strongly favored Marcus, with veterans organizations, disability rights groups, and civil liberties advocates rallying to his cause. The courthouse found itself fighting not just a legal battle, but a public relations disaster. The breakthrough came during depositions when it was revealed that Jenkins had a history of complaints regarding his treatment of disabled visitors. Previous incidents had been covered up or minimized by courthouse administration, creating a pattern of discrimination that federal investigators couldn't ignore. Senator Williams testified about her phone call with Marcus and the importance of the business they were conducting. Her testimony highlighted how Jenkins's actions had not only violated Marcus's rights, but had also interfered with official government business. The most powerful moment came when Marcus himself testified. Sitting in the federal courtroom with Atlas by his side, he spoke about his military service, his struggles with blindness, and his determination to help other veterans through Vision Forward. "I didn't lose my sight so that I could be treated as a second-class citizen in my own country," Marcus said, his voice steady and strong. "I lost my sight defending the principles of equality and justice that this courthouse is supposed to represent." His words resonated throughout the courtroom and beyond as his testimony was broadcast live and shared widely on social media. The settlement came 6 months later. The courthouse agreed to pay Marcus $2.8 million in damages and implement comprehensive disability rights training for all security personnel. Jenkins was terminated and faced potential criminal charges for assault. But the real victory was broader than money. The case led to new federal guidelines for courthouse security regarding service animals and disabled visitors. Marcus's experience became a catalyst for systemic change that would protect countless others. Vision Forward received additional funding and national attention, allowing it to expand its mission beyond what Marcus had originally envisioned. The nonprofit now serves blind veterans across the country, providing not just practical assistance, but also legal advocacy for disability rights. When the settlement was announced, Marcus stood on the courthouse steps, the same steps where he had fallen, and addressed the media with Atlas by his side, symbolizing how far they had both come. The immediate aftermath of the settlement brought sweeping changes to federal courthouse security nationwide. New protocols ensured that service animals would be properly recognized and accommodated, and security personnel received mandatory training on disability rights and de-escalation techniques. Marcus used his settlement to expand Vision Forward beyond his original vision. The nonprofit now operates in 12 states, providing comprehensive services to blind veterans, including legal advocacy, job training, and emotional support. Atlas became something of a celebrity, appearing at fundraising events and serving as an ambassador for service animal awareness. Senator Williams continued her advocacy for veterans' rights, using Marcus's case as an example of why stronger protections were needed. She introduced legislation requiring annual disability rights training for all federal employees who interact with the public. 3 years later, the Marcus Thompson case is studied in law schools as a landmark example of disability rights litigation. The precedent it set has been cited in dozens of subsequent cases, protecting disabled individuals from discrimination in federal facilities. Vision Forward has helped over 500 blind veterans transition to civilian life with a 95% success rate in job placement and independent living. The organization's legal advocacy arm has won several important cases expanding protections for disabled veterans nationwide. Marcus himself has become a sought-after speaker on disability rights and veteran advocacy. He's testified before Congress multiple times and has been honored by numerous veterans organizations for his courage in pursuing justice. The courthouse where the incident occurred now displays a plaque recognizing the importance of disability rights and equal access to justice, a permanent reminder of how one man's courage changed an entire system. On a quiet Tuesday morning, Marcus returned to the federal courthouse for the first time since his fall. He walked through the same entrance with Atlas by his side, but this time the security guards greeted him respectfully and ensured his smooth passage through the metal detector. As he stood in the lobby where everything had changed, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought him here. The pain and humiliation of that day had been transformed into purpose and progress. Sometimes he thought the most powerful victories come from the most unexpected defeats. Atlas pressed against his leg, a gentle reminder that they had work to do. Together, they walked toward the elevator, ready to help another veteran navigate the legal system with dignity and respect.